Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be discussing the topic of the runtime of Ninjago episodes. Of course, if you're familiar with Ninjago, you know that they started out with 22-minute episodes, and then they eventually in Season 11 transitioned over to 11-minute episodes, so I wanted to kind of discuss the effect that that has had on the series, and my opinions on it as well, so without further ado, let's get straight into it. So to preface this discussion, I want to mention that I don't dislike the 11-minute format. I think there are some things that could be improved upon with it, but I don't exactly think that, we need to go back to 22 minutes per episode in order for the series to be good. But I think that it is just interesting to sort of discuss some of the negatives that we get with 11-minute episodes, but then also some of the positives as well, because I think there are definitely some within this format. And I think one of the most important points to discuss when talking about the runtime of an episode is, of course, how many episodes we are receiving within a season. And this started with season 11, of course, where there were actually like the 2 season arcs, of course, the Fire and Ice arcs basically, and those consisted of 30 episodes altogether. So we were getting a very lengthy season there, even with the 11-minute runtime of each episode. So I felt like even though that season definitely wasn't the strongest writing-wise, I feel like the actual length of it probably worked pretty well. And then of course we transitioned into Prime Empire, and then we went into Master of the Mountain as well, and those both consisted of 16 episodes each, with once again, I think that worked really well for the format of both of them. I never felt like things were really being rushed through, and I felt like we still got character growth for each of the ninja, and then some of the side characters as well, especially I would say in stuff like Prime Empire when we get to see characters like Scott, and just those side characters as well. Now, one thing I do always feel like with this new sort of format is that whenever they get to the season finale, I feel like there's so much that they have to cover within the final 11-minute episode that I feel like sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming during the finale. But to contrast that, I do actually think that they have nailed it pretty well. Honestly, going into the finales of both Prime Empire and Master of the Mountain, I was honestly really nervous of whether or not they could kind of wrap up all of the storylines that were necessary, and they were honestly able to accomplish that pretty well, at least in my personal opinion, and I'm very pleased with how they were able to kind of handle that sort of format as well. Now, I feel like in season 11 they might have wasted a few points also with kind of doing the different animation styles, which honestly I am open to that. I think it's great for Ninjago to be able to express more creativity within the realm of actual animation in the series, and I'm always open to kind of see them experiment with that, but it just kind of felt with some of the stories that they were kind of just sidetracking a little bit from the main plot. Of course, there were necessary ones such as like Akita's backstory, but there were a few where it just kind of felt like just out of place stories, but I still enjoyed them nonetheless. But just within the actual season, I think it might have like held it back a bit. And now that brings us to one of the shortest seasons that we've received from Ninjago, and that was season 14, The Island, of course being only 4 episodes with the 11-minute runtime for each of them, kind of making it more of a special, even more so than a season, and they haven't even really like officially titled it. I know that like Tommy Andreasen has discussed it from some questions that he received, kind of like saying that it's kind of just up to each individual to kind of see what you actually consider The Island to be, whether it's a season, whether it's a special, just kind of up to your own digression. So I think that makes sense as well, and I think that for myself personally, I probably consider it more so a season. I think it just makes it easier to kind of line up with the rest of the series. Of course, you can kind of compare it to like March of the Oni, and that was considered to be season 10, so I think that this still works as a season. And we are seeing with Seabound as well, there is an episode rumor list that I have discussed in previous videos, but it's saying that there's going to only be 6 episodes for Seabound, and if they continue with the 11-minute format, then I think that could definitely be something that we just kind of have to get used to and adapt to, with maybe getting these shorter seasons with the more self-contained sort of stories. So I'm not sure if they'll continue with that format. Of course, that could just be something that they're experimenting with within this year, and I think that also it could be something to do with how closely connected The Island and Seabound are. Of course, their stories line up together very well, so I think that would also make sense as well. So yeah, there's quite a few different points to it for sure, but I think that I'm going to be cautiously optimistic with it as well, because I don't want to write it off. Of course, I enjoyed the island personally quite a bit, so I think that there's definitely potential for them to still make like engaging stories through this smaller format within the actual episode runtime and the episode count as well. Another important point to mention with this is that Tommy Andreasen responded to a question from a fan on Twitter where they asked if the show will ever return to 22 minutes per episode, and he said 22 minutes, who knows? So kind of just teasing it there. I know that obviously that could just mean absolutely nothing, and that he's just saying, well, who knows? I mean, there's the possibility, of course, but there's also the possibility that they might stick to an 11-minute format, which honestly, to kind of conclude this video, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that it's been working very well. I've really enjoyed Prime Empire, Master of the Mountain, The Island as well. I'm sure I'm probably going to enjoy Seabound as well. I'd say season 11 was a little bit weaker, but I still did enjoy the season overall, so I think that it's still been fairly strong with this new format that they're going with, so I definitely encourage Ninjago to keep experimenting in this sort of way, trying new formats, trying less episodes in certain seasons to just kind of find their groove and see what sort of works as well, and it definitely gives for some pretty cool variety as well between each season, so I like that also to kind of differentiate them from each other as well. So it's very interesting to kind of discuss, and I'm curious to hear your opinions on it as well in the comment section down below. Be sure to let me know what you think of with the 11-minute formats for the episodes, and also just the shorter episodes per season as well. Let me know all of your thoughts down below, and if you did enjoy this video, it would be highly appreciated if you could leave a like. Also subscribe as well if you would like to check out some of my other content. That would be highly appreciated, so thank you so much. I'll see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.